What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Powered by Primus, and in today's video I'm going to be breaking down my Ultra B deck, which features Ultra Magnus and Bumblebee Legendary Warrior. Now, before we get into the actual deck list, I wanted to just talk about a quick little channel update added to this one. And did you guys just see that intro? Oh, looks so good. Super excited. I literally just finished it. Now, I did just upgrade movie programs, some special effects, some lighting stuff. I just did a massive update. Now, it is going to be, you guys are going to be seeing some differences in the videos over the next couple of weeks probably, while I start to, learn a little more of the stuff and kind of iron out, a lot of the things that I'm really trying to make this thing do, and really just try to upgrade the gameplay videos. It is going to be super awesome when it all is said and done. Now, during this process, if there's something that you guys see that you like or even dislike, please make sure you guys go down to the comment section below of that video that I put something in there and let me know, again, if you guys liked it or not. I don't want to spend 4 hours editing a video and then you guys are like, oh, I don't like any of the stuff that you're doing. And I can go, oh, okay, well, then don't do it. So make sure you guys do let me know, again, down in the comment section below. Now, the next thing is I am going to be doing an Energon Edition giveaway. I wish I could have done it last week, but unfortunately I had my box stolen, so I had reordered another one that's on the way, and I'll be doing a giveaway with that. I'll be doing a separate video talking about it, breaking down how to enter, and all of that good jazz. Now, in that same video where I'm going to be talking about the Energon Edition giveaway, I'm going to be announcing some new cool stuff. Now, we already have like the channel update, some of the visual effects that I'm going to start doing to it, but I'm also going to be starting a Patreon. So I'm going to be breaking down in that giveaway video, after all the giveaway information, Patreon, what it's going to do, what I plan on doing with it, and all of the rewards that you guys are going to be able to get through there, because believe me, there are a lot of rewards. I wanted to make sure if I was doing a Patreon that it was a mutual handshake between me to you guys, making sure that I can give you guys some really awesome rewards for those who really want to be big supporters of me and the channel and the team and stuff. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Now, with all that being said, let's get to the actual deck. Alright, so getting into the deck list, we have Ultra Magnus and we have Legendary Warrior Bumblebee. Now, first off, these are two super rare characters that really just kind of haven't been really getting a whole lot of attention, so I kind of wanted to throw them together, but I did have some slight inspiration when it came to building these, because Wes was running a list in our area where he's running Ultra Magnus and Grimlock, where he was using Ultra Magnus to kind of soak up a lot of the attacks and Grimlock to trample over people. However, I was just thinking that it would be really interesting if my opponent was forced to make, I don't want to say bad attacks, but have to be forced into Ultra Magnus and have to whittle that character down, while Bumblebee's being able to attack whoever he wants. Now, to go a little more into detail with that, we have Ultra Magnus coming in 5 attack, 17 health, and 1 armor, and does have Brave, which means our opponent has to attack this character if able, which means as long as that, if both of our characters are untapped, they have to go into Ultra Magnus. If Ultra Magnus and Bumblebee are tapped, they have to go into Ultra Magnus again. However, if Bumblebee is tapped and Ultra Magnus is not, they do not go into Ultra Magnus, they have to go into Bumblebee because he is your only tapped character. But however, our sequencing is always going to work out usually where Ultra Magnus will be the character that they have to go into. So the other side, if we do flip to this mode, we get 6 attack, and we get to keep our armor in at 1. It says when this attacks and you flip orange, blue, do 1 damage to each character. Now, I will tell you that I have only flipped into this mode 1 time to try to get that extra +1 damage. However, it has not been relevant to ever get the ability or to really ever flip into this mode. Again, I did do it once, flipping into this mode just for that 1 extra attack, but we're always going to want to stay in this mode unless it's like a extreme situation where you have to flip. Now, going over to our other character, Bumblebee, going to be coming in here with 4 attack, 15 health, and 1 armor. And it does say when you flip to this mode, this character can attack untapped enemies as though they were tapped, which is where the big fun and the big sequencing is going to come into. And then while we are in this mode, we get 1 more attack coming in with 5 attack. And it says, while this is your only character on the battlefield, it gets +2 attack and +2 armor, meaning that when Bumblebee is the last character left, we have 7 attack and 3 armor, which is a really nice and really strong for base stats before getting into flips. Now, the way that the sequencing is going to work with this, usually I do this towards the end of the video, but because this one's a lot simpler, we're going to do it here. So, going first or going second won't really matter. If our opponent goes first, they obviously have to go into Ultra Magnus, really it's to protect Bumblebee, and then if we get to go first, all we're going to do for the turn is flip a Bumblebee and then attack with Ultra Magnus. Now, what that's going to do is Ultra Magnus can be able to hit whatever character our opponent, fed us. If they did go first, if we get to go first, we get to hit the main target that we're trying to get in. Maybe we get in 2 or 3 points of damage, that's totally fine. And then our opponent gets to go, they have to attack back into Ultra Magnus, and then back on our turn, boom, we get to flip Bumblebee, and we can attack characters as though they were tapped. Now what this does is this stops our opponent from being able to protect their main character, because again, they're probably going to want to feed a, support character, or maybe a character that just doesn't mean as much, into Ultra Magnus to help protect. However, Bumblebee gets to just crush any character that he really wants, which is really nice. And then if our opponent does choose to give us the character that we want anyway, we can just stay in this mode. There is no reason to flip. We do get that 1 extra attack. Our defense stat stays the same as well. So we can get in here, and then our opponent is still always forced back into Ultra Magnus, and then we can go for the reset and just keep repeating the process, because we will always get to go first with the reset if we do choose to go either way. Even if our opponent goes first, most likely because they're a 3 wide, we're still a 2 tall, which means that usually our opponent's going to have to get 2 attacks in before we do get to reset. Even if our opponent gets 1 attack in before reset, again, we're in the same boat with us going first after reset, and then we get to do that. Now, the other really cool part about this team is this character, the Bumblebee himself. Now, not only are we able to attack untapped characters, which is really awesome, but after our opponent finally whittles away Ultra Magnus, spends a bunch of their resources to have to get through him, our Bumblebee turns on, and we get that +2/+2, and now our opponent has to go through 15 health on a Bumblebee that has a base of 3 armor. Now, this is also a heavier blue deck, so it is a lot of damage that our opponent has to, produce to be able to KO these characters. Now, just in basic stats by themselves, we do have 32 health, which is really nice, and then we have a couple ways of extending Ultra Magnus's health or even repairing him in the deck. So it can be a really, really big tree to chop down because of how much health these 2 characters have. And then again, even after your opponent gets through Magnus, Bumblebee just gets that much more potent and will definitely be finishing characters off at the end of the game. And usually your opponent by that point doesn't really have powerful characters left. Usually you've gone through their main character, they have a couple of support characters, and it's kind of just a matter of time. Our opponent's hitting, for maybe 6, maybe we're blocking 6. I mean, I've blocked up to 10 with Bumblebee before, so really, really easy to be able to block an insane amount while also dealing a bunch with a weapon equipped to him. We're getting in for 9. If you play one of the actions that give us more damage, you're getting in for 11. So it's really, really easy to just pump out damage while also blocking damage. So let's get into the upgrades first. Talking about the upgrades, we're going to have a couple of 1-ofs coming in here first. These are usually 1-ofs in most of my decks, and we're going to have 1 Enforcement Batons and 1 Bashing Shield. It is an orange and a green battle icon. Orange helps us out on attack. Defense, not so much. The green battle icon is the main reason why they are in the deck, because we do get to fish them after combat. And then 1 is a weapon, 1 is an armor, and they do the, polar opposites for what they do. The Enforcement Batons is a weapon, and it says when you put this on a character, you may scrap an enemy weapon, gives us +1 attack. Really nice for getting rid of cards like Energon Axes, or if our opponent's trying to set up, a grenade launcher turn, or multi-missile pods, or even if they have Scoundrels Blasters, whatever the case is. It can be really nice to be able to get those pesky cards out of the way. And then on the other side, we have an armor. When you put this on a character, scrap an enemy armor and gives us +1 defense. Now this is mainly I put on Bumblebee because we're trying to push as much damage with Bumblebee as possible. And then this one I usually put onto Ultra Magnus if we don't have any other armors, because of that Ultra Magnus is going to be the brunt character our opponent has to get through. So making sure that he has as much defense, or if has as much tough as possible in a turn, is really what we're trying to go. We want our opponent to spend a lot of attacks into Ultra Magnus. If our opponent has to send 4 attacks into Ultra Magnus, we're going to be in a really, really good spot going into the late game. Now the next 2 coming in here is going to be Energy Pack. Now Energy Pack is one of those ways I talked about us being able to extend the health of our Ultra Magnus. He is a 12-star character. Energy Pack is an orange battle icon card, helping us out on attack. And then it is a utility, which is really nice because it doesn't mess with our weapon or our armor slot. And then it says put on characters that have 11 or more stars. Again, Ultra Magnus has 12. And it says the upgraded character has 4 more health, meaning now Ultra Magnus will be up to 21 health with one of these equipped. And again, our opponent has to spend that much more time and that many more resources getting through our Ultra Magnus. Now, other ways that we're going to be able to keep our Ultra Magnus in a really good spot and then be able to put on our Bumblebee late game after Ultra Magnus goes down is going to be Reinforced Plating as a blue battle icon, helping us out on defense, which again, the deck is primarily blue, even though the first 4 cards I showed are oranges. And this does, it is an armor, and it does give us tough 2, which allows us to flip 2 more cards when it comes to defense. Really, really good stuff. The next 2 coming in here are going to be Noble's Blaster. Now, Noble's Blaster is a blue and a green battle icon. Again, defense. And that green battle icon is really nice because it allows us to pick it up at the end of combat. So if we get to see this on defense, we're in a really, really, good spot because we already got that blue for the defense, and then boom, got to pick up the weapon on so we can play it on our offense. Again, our characters deal very low base damage. So we really want to make sure that we're amping them up as far as with a weapon and with actions on there to constantly be pumping them every turn because they've got to be producing damage. Even if we're blocking, 6 or 7 in its turn, it's really nice, but we got to be putting 6 or 7 damage out on our opponent that's actually getting through their defense. If we're only attacking for, 1 or 2 that's getting through after combat, it's going to be a very long game. Next 2 coming in here for that exact reason we talked about is going to be Grenade Launcher. Now, Grenade Launcher is an orange battle icon, help us out on attack. It is a weapon, and it says after the upgraded character attacks, you get to scrap this card, and it does give us that +4 attack. Now, I primarily put this onto Ultra Magnus when I'm getting ready for the setup, or I guess the reset, for Ultra Magnus to be able to punch the character that I really want him to go after. It is nice to put on B when you obviously need to do it. It's 4 damage no matter what. It's really good if B's trying to, target a specific character and your opponent's running maybe an orange list. Then it's really nice because he gets to push an insane amount of damage. But again, I usually put it onto Ultra Magnus because I'm trying to always have a Nobles onto Bumblebee. However, I can put it on Bumblebee if you happen to draw it after Magnus swings or whatever else to finish off one of those characters. The next 3 coming in here is going to be Extra Padding. Now, again, it is a blue and a green battle icon card, helping us out on defense and allowing us to pick it up after combats. It is an armor, and then it says tough 1, and then when you put this on a character, you may play another Extra Padding, and up to 3 Extra Paddings can fit in 1 armor slot, meaning you can have all 3 of these onto 1 character. And then now our character gets tough 3. The really cool part about Extra Padding in this deck is that we see a lot of cards because we're, constantly flipping so much on defense because our opponent's usually getting 2 or 3 attacks into our characters. So seeing these on defense is really nice and is really easy to do. We pick them up off the green battle icon cards, we get to put them down. And then even if our opponent happens to have maybe a ramming speed or a vaporize or a bashing shield themselves, they can use that card still. It only takes away, 1 of our upgrades, and then we still have 2 extra paddings on our character, still giving us that tough 2, which is really relevant because when Ultra Magnus is blocking 6 or 7 at a turn, it takes a long time for our opponent to be able to take him out. Next 3 coming in is going to be Handheld Blaster. Now, the main reason why it is in here is for that double blue battle icon. It does give us bold 1, however, we run very little oranges in the deck, so I would not be playing this card just for the bold effect. I do like it for the double blue because we really want to see it on defense. And then it is an easy card to be able to pitch for green battle icon cards, which is the main reason why it's going to be in there. And then the last 3 upgrades coming in is going to be Matrix of Leadership. Now, this card is fantastic. It is an orange and a blue battle icon, so it helps us out on attack and helps us out on defense. It is a utility, so it goes in that slot, doesn't mess with our weapons, doesn't mess with our armors. And then it says put on Autobots only. Well, both of our characters are going to be Autobots. And then it says while this is on a leader, each of your characters has +1 attack and Pierce 1. Sorry, other characters, the main character that it's on would not get Pierce, and then it does give +1 attack. Well, guess what? Both of our characters are leaders, so we can put this onto either character, which is really, really nice. And we can also have a 1 on each character. That's giving the other one +1 and Pierce. So we just get to really push a lot of it because they are both leaders. It's really, really awesome stuff. So it's an easy 3 of in the deck. And then again, it is an orange and a blue, so it doesn't hurt us when it comes to attack or defense. Now, getting into the actions and talking about some of the one-ofs that we are indeed fact going to have the deck, we do have the first one coming in, which is going to be Espionage. It is a white and a green battle icon white, helping us out on attack and defense, far more for defense on the deck because it does allow us to flip 2 more additional cards. It is a green, so we get to pick it up at the end of combat. It says choose a battle icon color, then look at your opponent's hand and scrap a card from it that has that has battle icons of the chosen color. This is mainly used as a deterrent card. We're trying to use it to make sure we get rid of of our opponent's ramming speeds, vaporizes, bashing shields, grenade launchers, whatever they have that can either prevent us from getting our tough or whatever can stop them from dealing so much damage again. We really want to go to the late game with this deck, so we want to mitigate how much damage our opponent is doing to Ultra Magnus, and then even if we see our opponent pick up a card that allows them to maybe even get an untap or something like that. It's just a really nice card to be able to get rid of some of those pesky actions that our opponent is trying to get online. Next one coming in here is going to be Reprocess. Now this card is just always amazing. It is a green battle icon, allows us to picking up after combats. It is an action, it says scrap and upgrade from any character, repair 2 damage from that character. Now this is really, really good stuff for getting rid of, your opponent's pierce weapons that are just happen to getting through you, or even if you want to scrap one of your own upgrades on Ultra Magnus. Let's say you do have all 3 extra paddings, however you're not really needing tough 3, tough 1's able to get it done, and he's taking a few points of damage. I would go ahead and reprocess one of my extra paddings, be able to repair 2 from my Ultra Magnus. My opponent's got to spend more time getting through to him, and then all that good stuff. And then again, we're going to be attacking our opponent's main character, so maybe they put a piercing blaster down or something else on one of those other characters. It's really nice because we're not trying to hit those characters anyway to reprocess some of those upgrades, and since they have full health, then they're not repairing the 2. We're just breaking a weapon, or an upgrade, which is really nice. And then the last one coming in here is going to be Smelt. Blue and green battle icon, blue for that defense, green for us to be able to pick it up after combats, and then it says your opponent chooses one of their upgrades and scraps it. So this is just really, again, a deterrent for a lot of the other stuff we've been talking about, making sure that our opponent doesn't have any really pesky armors or any pesky weapons that's just dealing too much damage, blocking damage, really just trying to control the board state as best as possible. Next to coming in here talking about the exact same things is going to be Vaporize. It is a blue battle icon, and then it says scrap an enemy upgrade. Again, just really trying to make sure that we manage the board state. It is a very, very important thing in this game to be able to keep the board state in your favor, whether it's, getting rid of your opponent's upgrades or pushing your own upgrades yourself. It is really, really important to always kind of be in an advantage spot when it comes to that, and Vaporize is going to help you. Next to coming in is going to be Sabotage Armaments. Now this is one I consider to go up to a 3 of because of how good it can be in the deck, but 2 is a really good solid one, and then I do have a 3rd in the sideboard. Now this card is a secret action blue battle icon, helps out on defense, and it says when one of your characters defends, you get to reveal this and scrap all of the attacker's weapons. Now this is really nice because we're trying to, again, I'm really going to push that. We want our Ultra Magnus to survive for as long as possible without being KO'd. If we can make our opponent do 6 attacks, 10 attacks, we're in just such a good spot, and we are eventually going to win the game. This is going to stop any of those pesky grenade launchers or whatever else, soldiers, blasters, all that stuff that's going to be coming into Ultra Magnus. Even Shockwave, if he has 2 of his weapons attached to him, this is going to be able to hit both of those weapons at the same time. Same thing goes for Battle Masters, although we're going to be trying to not hit Battle Masters because Bumblebee doesn't have to, but we're going to be trying to make sure that we get rid of any of those weapons when they do choose to attack us. So Sabotage Armaments is going to really bring our opponent down to size, and we're going to be taking very little damage with Ultra Magnus. Now the next 3 coming in here are going to be star cards. You were probably wondering as to why there was no Ultra Magnus armor in the upgrade section, and it's because I run Heroic Resolve as my 3 star cards in the deck. The 2 do come out to 22 stars. Yep, 22 stars. So we have 3 available, and this is going to be Heroic Resolve. It is a double blue battle icon card, which is really nice on the defense, and then it is a secret action. When one of your Autobots would take enough damage to be KO'd, you get to reveal this, and it remains your character at 1 health, and it does not get knocked out. Now this is going to be attack damage, so one thing to note is that if your opponent does go, with reset, they go, okay, we'll zap your guy who has 1. This will not protect you from that. However, any attack damage it will protect you from. There was a moment the other day going up against a blaster. He had Bolt 12 on his Lionizer and would have just immediately ran through my Ultra Magnus. I think he ended up doing like 22 damage or something like that, and then Ultra Magnus just got to live at 1. So it was really, really powerful stuff. Again, anytime that your opponent is finally about to go through Ultra Magnus, when this card is down, it becomes really awkward because your opponent has to wonder if they do enough damage to actually make sure that this procs, or if your opponent thinks it's something else and they don't really, dedicate a lot of resources to it because they're like, well, we'll get there, and then they end up not getting getting there through this. Either way, it's going to be kind of a really nice spot. We obviously want our opponent to expend as many resources as possible, trying to take down our Ultra Magnus. But this card is going to be really good in there. And then even after Ultra Magnus goes down and we have our Bumblebee left, if we're having some weird one-on-one with another big character, then this is going to be really nice because it's going to take a while for our opponent to get through Bumblebee. And then even when they end up going to the bottom on that final swing, they're going to actually miss because we're going to be able to stay around and then be able to get the correct bet. Next 3 of coming in here is going to be Leap into Battle. It is a blue battle icon helping us out on defense, and then it does give one of our characters +3 attack. So this is really one of the best conceptual cards in the deck, and it's because it's really solving both problems that we have. We want to be able to have our characters not get KO'd, so we need to be heavier blue. However, we need to make sure we're doing damage, and this is going to give us that +3, which is really, really good stuff. Next 3 coming in here is going to be Hidden Fortification. It is a blue battle icon, and it is a secret action, and it says reveal when one of your characters defends, and then that character gets +3 until end of turn. Obviously, our opponent's going to have to be attacking an Ultra Magnus. Said it like, I don't know, 42 times during this video. So us getting +3 off of this is going to be really nice to help us block for a lot of stuff. And then if you happen to have an armor down, or you have a couple extra paddings down, you have like +5, +6, your opponent is probably not going to be dealing damage to you. And if they do, it's like maybe 1, which is the dream world that we want to be in with our Ultra Magnus. Really, really good card. The other thing about this is if you guys notice here, we have 3 secret actions in the deck. So when we do go to play one face down, our opponent has a lot of choices that they have to weigh when it comes down to this. If our character is low on HP and about to be knocked out, they have to wonder, okay, is that a heroic resolve? Do I really go for it all out here? Is it a sabotage armaments? Do I really play this grenade launcher right here? Or if they're like, man, I just don't have that much damage already, do I need to play this pump spell or this pump upgrade or action to be able to get damage in? It makes your opponent have to play on the back foot and really have to guess when it comes to playing cards, which is going to be really nice because even if our opponent makes the wrong decision, boom, we're going to be pushing further. They choose to go for the grenade launcher and it's a sabotage, bam, we just completely wreck them. If they decide to expend, 40 resources and play a bunch of stuff to go after our character, boom, we get to heroic resolve. Or again, they're like, oh, I don't want to risk it here. I'm not going to play anything. And then Hidden Fortification is the card and we take no damage. It's always going to be a really good spot. The next 3 coming in here, and a big thanks to Eric for pointing this card out to me because I definitely missed it. The gameplay video that you guys watched yesterday, I had Start Your Engines in, and it was because I had the thought that at some point I'd be able to untap Bumblebee. However, that's not the case because I wasn't running Battlefield Legend to fish it up or get it off of attacks, and running Anticipation Engine to be able to get it off of flips. So it was just a really bad card in the deck. It ended up just being a blue battle icon card I can always get rid of for a green pip. But Eric did say, hey man, run Team Up Tactics, and I was like, well, duh, awesome card. Blue battle icon card, really pushing that defense. Choose one of your characters. If it's a truck, we get to repair 2 from it. Again, making it harder for our opponent to get through that Ultra Magnus if we constantly keep repairing. And then if it's a car, let's say Ultra Magnus has gone down, or maybe our opponent's not applying that much pressure to Ultra Magnus, we can choose our Bumblebee, who is going to be a car, and draw 2 cards to really help keep pushing our hand, getting access to more cards and a bunch of other good stuff. So really good card in the deck. And then the last card coming in is going to be Head-On Collision, a card coming in from Wave 4. It is a white battle icon helping us out on attack or defense. Either way, we prefer to see it on defense. And then it is an action, and then it says choose one of your characters. It gets +3 attack while attacking in alt mode this turn. Now, if you guys did realize, our Ultra Magnus is always swinging in alt mode at our opponent, and then we are flipping to our alt mode for Bumblebee to be able to attack untapped characters. So this is always going to be essentially just a +3 when we are in those situations. Now, late game after Magnus does go down, we have Bumblebee, then Head-On Collision does become kind of a dead card because we're attacking with 7 here. You can flip and play this card to also attack for 7, but you're losing the 2 defense, which is very relevant. So that is one thing to notice kind of about the deck. But because we are always attacking in alt mode, then now we have 6 different ways in the deck via actions to get that big bonus to attacks. Alright, now when it comes down to talking about sideboard, I'm going to show you guys the simplest sideboard in the world. And the first one is going to be Ultra Magnus Armor. Now this is an orange and a blue battle icon card. It says put on Autobots only. If the upgraded character would take non-attack damage, instead that character takes that much -1. So if our opponent goes to deal 1 direct damage, it becomes 0. If they attack or deal 2 damage, it becomes 1, so on and so forth. Now it also does give +2 attack and +2 defense. However, this thing actually has quite a bit of stuff going for it. When we do get to start the game with Ultra Magnus, it says before the game begins, you may put an Ultra Magnus armor from your deck onto this. So it does not affect your starting hand, and it already comes out onto the character. So now we're attacking for 7, and we have a base of 3 in the very, very beginning of the game if we get to go first. And then our opponent can't respond to it on the first turn, obviously. So we're getting in for a big hit on their main character. And then the deck does not run any spare parts. Now the reason why I'm not running any spare parts is because I just don't think that the card is really that relevant. In the matches I was running the other day, there was only a couple times that I brought it in to stop direct damage. It did really good in the video that you guys did previously watch, which I will link down in the description if you guys haven't seen this deck in action, where I was going up against a Shockwave and Caliburst. Both of those cards proc as 1 damage at a time, so I just constantly keep choosing my Ultra Magnus, and even if my opponent's making me deal 8 damage, it all, triggers as 1 individuals, so each time I just choose it for 1, and it goes down to 0, so it really, really was a hard counter, and unfortunately my opponent just did not find a response to get rid of it, so it just ended up blowing out. Now, obviously, we do have to take out 2 stars to be able to get this card in, so we do take out 2 Heroic Resolves, and that does leave 1 Heroic Resolve in the deck still, so we can still have some of those fun interactions and a little bit of tricks and secrets. And then because we're taking out 2 cards and bringing in 1, the other card that I bring in is going to be Sabotage Armaments. And obviously, we talked about it previously with what that card does, all that good stuff. And I don't have a sideboard for anything else. I think that there are some situations where you can argue bringing in infiltrates or jam signals if your opponents are running more blue or more oranges, and you're just seeing a lot of stuff that's kind of dealing a lot of pressure to you. The other thing that you can do is The other thing you can do if you're going up against a bunch of wide decks is bring in Armed Hovercraft. That's going to be a really nice card. Now, Bumblebee is a melee in both modes, so it won't work with him late game. However, because our Ultra Magnus is sticking around for a long time, he is ranged in both modes, so it's going to be really nice to be able to put on him, deal all that direct damage if you do need to go that route for wide teams. And then the last one I would suggest is Steady Shot if you do find yourself going, needing more damage when it comes to the attack sequences and having to do a bunch of stuff like that. Then I would suggest bringing in Steady Shots. Another card you can bring in as far as secret actions go is Dampening Field if you're coming into a lot of bold from your opponent and they're just really able to kind of just push so much damage on a Magnus. He only gets to survive 2 or 3 attacks. Then we can bring in Dampening Field. So there's quite a bit of stuff that does come into the sideboard. I'm going to have to play this deck more to see kind of what is out there specifically that we're wanting to do. Another card that I think would be really good if you're having issues with like Shockwaves in your area or other cards that, scrap your hand. I would do Work Overtimes in the deck. It's really nice because it's a white battle icon card and it does let you draw back up to 4. So if you are having some people who are messing with your hand, and then another hard hand disruption counter is going to be Fog of War, a card that a lot of people have kind of forgotten about. Really good stuff for if your opponent happens, again, to be running Shockwave or Springer and they just have a bunch of cards in hand. Fog of War is going to reduce their hand down to 2 and let you draw up to 2. So maybe even if you're at 2, the card is still going to be really good because it's, helping your opponent have to get rid of so many cards in their hand. So those are going to be just a few options when it does come to the sideboard. Again, it depends on your meta. I did just give you guys some suggestions so you guys can kind of figure it all out. However, I think this deck is just a really fun deck. As far as like the power level goes, I'd probably say it's around maybe a 7. Yeah, probably around a 7. I think it's got a lot of good matchups. I do think that there are some matchups that I just haven't tested yet that can make this deck be pretty bad or maybe chew it apart. I don't quite know yet. Again, I'll have to spend a little more time playtesting it. I did want to show you guys the deck though because again, I've been having a lot of fun with it. 2 Talls is something that's kind of disappeared for a while, so I thought I could definitely be bringing it back slightly with this list. I do think that it's got potential. I do think that you will catch a lot of people off guard with it, and I do think that you are going to have a blast with it it as well, so I would definitely suggest that you guys sleeve it up and give it a try yourselves. And I hope you guys did enjoy this deck profile video breakdown and all of the good stuff when it comes to talking about the channel. If you did, obviously a like would be greatly appreciated. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you guys can get access to all of our content as soon as it becomes available, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.